10 things you didn't know ancient Egypt actually discovered. Ancient Egypt wasn't just pyramids and eyeliner. It was a 3,000-year science experiment powered by faith, curiosity, and a lot of trial and error. They mixed religion with chemistry, art with anatomy, and sometimes came up with results that would make a modern doctor faint. Some ideas were genius, some were gross, and some were both at the same time. So, from golden tongues to knives made from outer space metal, here are 10 things the Egyptians figured out long before anyone else, and a few that will make you very grateful for modern medicine. 1. Crocodile dung contraceptives. 3,000 years ago, people loved a good time as much as we do now. What they didn't love were all the babies those good times produced. So the Egyptians got creative. And by creative, I mean genuinely alarming. They dried crocodile dung, mixed it with honey and acacia, and used it as birth control. Yes, actual crocodile poop? The wild part? It sort of worked. Honey kills bacteria, acacia ferments into lactic acid, which can block sperm. And the dung's sticky texture made a natural barrier. It was ancient chemistry meets questionable hygiene. Gross? Definitely. But also clever. Proof that the Egyptians were solving modern problems with prehistoric ingredients. Next up, they didn't just stop unwanted pregnancies. They also figured out how to test for them 3,000 years before plastic sticks existed. 2. The ancient Egyptian pregnancy test. Forget pea sticks. Ancient Egyptians had pea seeds. According to a 3,500-year-old papyrus, a woman would urinate on 2 bags of grain, 1 barley, 1 wheat. If either sprouted, congratulations, she was pregnant. If barley sprouted first, it was a boy. If wheat sprouted, a girl. Now, the gender part was nonsense, but the pregnancy bit actually works. In 1963, scientists tested it and found that urine from pregnant women really does make seeds grow faster about 70% of the time. Turns out estrogen can encourage germination. So yes, ancient Egyptians invented a working pregnancy test thousands of years before Clear Blue. Slightly less hygienic, but shockingly accurate. And speaking of babies, the next discovery involves one mummy who carried her unborn child all the way into the afterlife. 3. The pregnant mummy. In 2021, researchers scanning a mummy in Poland got the shock of their lives. The body, long believed to be a male priest, was actually a woman, and she was 7 months pregnant. The first confirmed pregnant mummy ever found. Normally, embalmers removed organs before mummification, but in this case, they left the fetus inside her womb. Over time, the chemicals from the embalming salts essentially pickled the unborn child while the bones dissolved in the acidity. It's grim science, but science nonetheless. Nobody knows why they left the fetus inside. Maybe out of respect. Maybe it was too small to remove. Whatever the reason, she's become one of the most haunting mummies ever discovered. A woman carrying her baby into eternity. And while that's tragic, the next story is almost inspiring. An ancient prosthetic so advanced it would make modern orthopedists nod in approval. 4. The wooden prosthetic toe. Somewhere around 1000 BCE, a priest's daughter lost her big toe. That would have been devastating in a society where walking barefoot was the norm. But the Egyptians, being the practical geniuses they were, built her a replacement. It was made of wood and leather, shaped perfectly to fit her foot. It even had stitching holes and a strap for comfort. The best part, it wasn't just decorative, it worked. The woman wore it long enough that it had been adjusted and refitted multiple times. That makes it the world's oldest known functional prosthetic limb, centuries before the Romans even thought of it. It's proof that Egyptian medicine wasn't just about preserving the dead, it was about helping the living stay whole. And speaking of the dead, let's talk about the afterlife upgrade that gave mummies a literal voice beyond the grave. 5. Golden tongue mummies. Imagine being buried with a golden tongue, not metaphorically. A real one, crafted from thin gold foil and placed inside your mouth. Archaeologists have found several of these. Most recently, a man buried about 2,500 years ago, alongside a woman and child with the same glittering addition. The purpose was spiritual. The Egyptians believed you needed to speak before the gods in the afterlife, especially Osiris, lord of the underworld. A golden tongue made sure your words were heard, even in death. It's eerie and beautiful at the same time. A reminder that for the Egyptians, death wasn't silence. It was a conversation that never really ended. But they didn't just give voices to people. They gave entire species eternal life. In fact, ancient Egypt ran one of the largest animal mummification industries the world has ever seen. 6. Mass animal mummification. You know the Egyptians mummified people, but did you know they also mummified millions of animals? Cats, dogs, crocodiles, ibises, even tiny shrews. Some temples were basically pet cemeteries the size of football stadiums. At one site near Saqqara, archaeologists found around 8 million mummified dogs. At another, 4 million sacred ibises. The reason? Each mummy was an offering to a god. Pilgrims bought them at temples and handed them over for burial as spiritual gifts. It was religion meets mass production. There were breeders, embalmers, and merchants all turning faith into a full-blown industry. It's equal parts fascinating and horrifying. And just when you think Egypt couldn't get weirder with its animal worship, they discovered a temple filled with thousands of mummified ram heads. 7. 2,000 mummified ram heads at Abydos. Archaeologists recently opened a chamber in the temple of Ramesses II at Abydos and froze. Inside were over 2,000 mummified ram heads, neatly stacked in rows like some divine woolly army. Even stranger, they were placed there about 1,000 years after Ramesses II died. Worshippers from the Ptolemaic period had brought them as offerings to honor the long-dead king. Alongside the rams were mummified ewes, goats, dogs, and even an ostrich. It's bizarre and oddly touching. A cult of devotion that survived for centuries. Egyptians never forgot their heroes, even if that meant offering up a small mountain of embalmed sheep. But from earthly offerings, let's look to the sky, because one of Egypt's most famous treasures was literally forged from outer space. 8. Tutankhamun's meteoric iron dagger. When King Tut's tomb was opened in 1922, among the gold and jewels lay something far stranger, an iron dagger. The problem? The Egyptians didn't smelt iron yet. Decades later, scientists discovered why. The blade was made from meteoritic iron, metal that literally fell from the sky. Its nickel and cobalt content matched known meteorites, meaning Tut's dagger was forged from space rock. It's both poetic and practical. The Egyptians called such material iron of the sky and treated it as divine. So, somewhere out there, a chunk of cosmic debris blazed through the atmosphere, and an ancient craftsman turned it into a blade fit for a god king. But Tut's tomb isn't the only place hiding cosmic secrets. Even the Great Pyramid itself still holds mysteries buried within its stone heart. 9. Hidden chambers in the Great Pyramid. You'd think after 4,500 years, we'd know every inch of the Great Pyramid, not quite. In 2017, scientists using cosmic ray scanners detected a massive hidden void above the Grand Gallery. Then, in 2023, another sealed corridor was discovered behind the north face. These are no small gaps. One is about 30 meters long. Nobody knows why they exist. Maybe they were built to relieve pressure. Maybe they were secret passages. The fact that we're still discovering new rooms inside the most studied monument on Earth is mind-blowing. It's proof that ancient Egypt still hasn't told all its stories. And the next one isn't just a chamber. It's an entire city that vanished under the sand for 3,000 years. 10. The Lost Golden City of Luxor, A10. In 2021, archaeologists digging near Luxor uncovered streets, homes, and workshops so well preserved they looked abandoned yesterday. It turned out to be the lost city of Aten, built by Amenhotep III around 1350 BCE. Inside were ovens, pottery, jewelry, tools, and even food left in jars. The city had bakeries, glass workshops, and zigzagging walls still standing shoulder high. It was like Pompeii, but Egyptian. Aten offers a rare glimpse into everyday life during Egypt's golden age, how people lived, worked, and built the world's most enduring civilization. All of it buried just a few feet below the sand. From crocodile dung contraception to golden tongues, from prosthetic toes to space metal knives, the Egyptians pushed science, faith and imagination to their limits. They weren't just building monuments. They were experimenting with what it meant to be human. And if this is what we found so far, imagine what's still waiting under the desert. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and remember, if your knife is made of stardust, you're probably doing accessories right.